Welcome to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. If you would like to support this channel, please hit the like button and consider subscribing if you enjoy the content. And now let's start with the first story. It's called Someone in the Americas. I used to work for a call center in Asia as a customer service representative for Sprint, now merged with TMO. This was around 2016. Getting racist callers is as natural as breathing air. Obviously a dirty smelling air. For your interest, I have a very neutral English accent, so it's pretty obvious that I'm not American. I get a call one day. I noticed that she's a repeat caller, which is not a good sign. Thank you for calling Sprint. How can I help you? Oh god, another one? She started in on a bunch of colorful racist statements. I want to speak with someone in the Americas. The usual process for this kind of scenario is to apologize and offer assistance. If they push back, we have to escalate to our supervisor or escalation team. But I had a bad day and was not in the mood to play around. I also had very good work performance, so a single mistake will not make a dent in my bonuses/incentives. So, while apologizing for what she felt was an inconvenience, I remembered that the Americas is composed of North, Central and South. I responded, I'll transfer you now to someone in the Americas. We had a vendor site somewhere in Central or Latin America catering to Spanish customers. I hope she got what she wanted. The next story is called Not Her. When I was in high school, I worked at my local GameStop. I worked in a very small store, in a wealthy town with a bunch of suburban Karens. Outside of the holidays, we typically only had 2 people on a shift. My manager was a super chill 25-year-old stoner skate punk who didn't care as long as you got your work done and hit your target. I was able to read, do homework or play games behind the counter when there was nothing else to do, and the dress code was minimally enforced. One day I was working with the manager behind the counter, wearing jeans, a black collared shirt and my typical Hot Topic mall goth makeup and pentagram necklace. It was a slow day and the manager was doing inventory on one of the 2 registers while I worked on the never-ending task of alphabetizing game cartridges behind the counter. A mom came in, about 40. She came up to the counter to buy an Xbox 360 controller for her son. I brushed myself off from alphabetizing and greeted her with a smile at register number 2. Hi, I can ring that up for you right here. I'll wait. The manager and I exchanged a confused glance. Is there a reason she can't help you? I'm in the middle of doing inventory, so it's going to be a while before I'm available. I don't like your necklace. I looked at the manager in shock and surprise, then just slowly lowered myself back behind the counter to continue alphabetizing while trying to stifle my laughter. We complied with her request and let her wait 10 minutes for the manager to finish up, lest her Xbox controller gets cursed by my evil 17-year-old goth fingers. After she left, my manager said to me, her kid's probably playing Call of Duty with that controller too. The third story is called Fastest Way to Lose All Your Staff. I have spent most of my career working for elected officials. Over the course of my career, I have worked for elected officials at the federal, state and local levels and progressively more involved policy roles. In between, I have done some higher paying private sector jobs, but I have twice taken pay cuts to return to public service working for electeds because I generally love the work. The flip side of that is that it has been hard to afford to live in my area on that lower salary. Earlier this year, I was still making less than my last job after 2 years in this office. In early spring, we were talking with one of our colleagues on the shared staff, and she made an offhand comment about how our office had the worst pay of any office for our legislative body. She ended up sharing information about how much other offices pay their staff with our whole office. Turns out she was more right than she knew. Our office had some of the most experienced staff of any office, and bar none the lowest pay, even relative to less experienced offices that were less active. Our highest paid staff, other than our manager, didn't crank the 40th percentile on our floor, despite 20 years of experience. I topped out in the 30th percentile for pay, with 8 years of relevant experience. I would estimate the average is closer to 3 to 5 years of experience for my level of pay. Colleagues I had worked with previously, who I knew had 3 fewer years of experience, were making 20% more than I was with similar or less involved responsibilities. So I did a full analysis of the pay on my floor relative to experience and set up a meeting with the elected to discuss salary, which did not go well. I was told that aside from annual increments there would be no pay raises, and essentially that I should be happy I had a job. The fact that I had been loyal was irrelevant, as was the fact that anytime there was some weird issue we wanted to explore, I was able to find a solution. Me making less than colleagues in other offices with less experience was not their problem. I was told that if I wanted more pay, I would have to find something new. So after telling my colleagues about the ugly meeting, I did exactly that. I started applying for other jobs in our government. I found one that I was highly qualified for. I got an interview almost immediately and aced it. And 3 months later, the hiring process is a joke. I started with a 65% increase in take-home pay. After hearing about how poorly my salary meeting went, my colleagues didn't bother having their own meetings and just started their own searches. Come the start of the next legislative body after the elections, the only person left will be a new hire that started right before this nonsense went down, and a new communications person who started right after I left. Anyone with institutional knowledge about how the body functions or any knowledge about the policy issues they care about has either left or has accepted a new position. The next story is called Too Efficient. Overall, my center is fairly relaxed on metric. One thing they do check on is rep time, how long it takes you after a call to go back to the ready state. In my center, this is a 6-minute average. I, wanting to show I was good at my job, have been excelling at most of my metrics from day one. Notably, this one. From my first scored month, I was averaging less than 30 minutes in rep time per call. This caught the eye of my supervisor, as well as others, and I was questioned. Each meeting for 6 months I'd have to defend it. I wasn't cutting corners, I was just efficient with my work. I knew this, my super knew this, but still it came up. Often in our meetings it would be one of the only 2 or 3 things I'd get critiqued on. Told how I was being too fast. So I said screw it, I'm tired of being judged for it. So I meet their numbers now. I still finish my work in calls within 30 seconds on average. And then I spend 5 to 7 minutes doing anything else. We are busier right now, and sometimes pretty back to back. And instead of just pushing through the queue as I did for half a year, I'm resting more time than anyone. And my supervisor can't even pull me aside to talk about it until the busy season is over. So I have over a month of wasting time like this until he can even second guess me. I hate that it came to this. I was proud of my scores. But if meeting or exceeding in nearly every category gets me looked at twice over to see what I'm doing wrong, all you're doing is discouraging my continued performance. And it shouldn't be like that. The last story is called Don't Need Your Help. I work some certain live events, and a lot of my work is making sure crew members and staff receive a credential to be allowed past security. Back in February, for a huge event, I spent one morning going back and forth from our remote office to the security gates when I would get word of the next employee coming up. As I stood there waiting, a person on our staff I didn't know showed up. Security tells him he can't get in without a credential. Being in charge of credential access, I nicely asked the man, "Are you here with the company?" "Yes, but I don't need your help. I'm in touch with other employee who I'm sitting next to at the office downstairs." "Oh, okay." He was just too good for me to talk to him. He thought he was better than me. So I decided not to ever look at him or deal with him again. As he stands at security, I end up going back and forth about 5 times to let other employees in with the credentials in my hand. At this point he is fuming and wants to ask me for help, but it was way more fun to tell him he just needs to talk to the girl whose desk is next to mine. She was in a meeting for another hour. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories and today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I do and want to support me, please subscribe and hit the like button. I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.